Welcome back. Now we go inside a very, very interesting topic and panel. So how the infrastructure are important for the development of the tourism. So I would like to introduce Mr. Astori, Marcello Astori, that is the product manager of Zani Viaggi, and Miss Delphine Assouline, in charge of development tourism in the city of Paris. So thank you to be here. And I would like to know, inside of Milan, that is your first big experience, let's say, as tour operator, and in Paris, how is your point of view and what is the missing point for the infrastructure and what is the goal that it is important to get as target to develop in the market?
For inviting me for the city of Paris. Of course, the importance of the infrastructure is a key point, because and we have this point specifically because we will welcome the Olympic and Paralympic Games in 2024. If Paris has a great infrastructure that permit the city to welcome in 2019 29 million of visitors, that's a great point because of the existing transport system, because of the airport, of the railway stations, the accessibility in train. We need to develop it more and for improve the sustainability of the city also. And for example, we have a program to develop the rapidity of reaching the airport with the center of city with the great metro, Grand Paris Metro, that is planned, that was planned before COVID for 2024, but it will improve the accessibility of all the cities, for example, Orly and Charles de Gaulle in 20 minutes to Gare de Lyon, that it will be improvement. Then we have also, and the city of Paris has committed to develop also the cycle roads. For example, now Paris has more than 1,200 kilometers of cycle roads, and the city of Paris, after the coronavirus, has let road for cyclists, for cycle.
Let's say the sustainability is the first point, is a priority for Paris development in the infrastructure side, we can say it.
For now, of course, because all the crisis that Paris knows since 2015, between the attacks, the flooding of the Seine, always strikes in a train and also flight and airport, but also the flooding of the Seine, in a big flooding in June 2016, for example, shows us, and of course the corona crisis, all these crises shows us that we have to change the model. And we have to implement more local tourism, more attractive tourism also for the next citizens. If Paris has, in 2019, Paris has 50% of these tourists were coming from France and 50% from abroad. Also, we had 50% leisure tourism and 50% offer tourism. So it's balance. But all these crises shows us that we have to attract better tourists from the region, from regions that are near Paris, but also European. And now, with the coronavirus, the first to come back are the European also. And then we are also trying to promote the local shops. Now we did the first Paris local celebration the last week. It was in Paris. It was an event organized with the bureau, the office bureau of Paris, and with local shops, artisans, restaurants, and with animations in the neighborhood. Also, we are trying to incentive tourists to visit not all the topics, the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame is not cannot be visited now. Well, you can visit the surrounds, but we are trying to promote all the interesting points in order to deconcentrate the tourism outside what we called the triangle d'or, golden triangle, that is the really center of Paris. In order to visit, for example, l'Atelier des Lumières in the neighborhood more popular, and also the canals to change a little from the Seine. So we are trying to better promote all the offer that we have, in order also that the tourists can repeat and come back, and to promote the new events like Paris Local. That was the first edition, but I suppose we will do another one. And
yeah, I have a question. After COVID, you mentioned it before that the tourism now is 50% coming from France?
No, this number was before.
And now how is the numbers, let's say, of the visitor? How is going the trend of the market in Paris?
Well, we don't have all the numbers, but our first market was the United States. That was closed until the 8th of November, you know. And the second market was the British. And with the Brexit also, there is a Brexit effect. And with the COVID, with closing and the quarantine, all that changed a lot, you know. So now the trend, Americans, we saw, of course, the Chinese are not coming. There was a big market, but they don't come. So now we know that Paris is is desired always by the world. So the Americans are coming now. They are coming back, And we have lots of Spanish, Italian, German, of course. We have Belgian. We have, for this time, coming back Europeans and French people. But Paris was very, very affected by the crisis. For example, in this August, the 70% of the hotel were closed, because also the COVID crisis affected, I don't know if Milan will be in the same situation, but affected a lot urban tourism. And mountain, for example, and sea destinations were very attractive. But now we see that since September, and the better October for Christmas also, tourists are getting back, also French tourists.
The last question, later I will give voice to Mr. Astori. About Mediterranean, okay? The Union of Mediterranean was promoted and was big volunteer by France to get it. So how you are promoting in the Mediterranean area, if you are promoting the Mediterranean area, and if you see in the Mediterranean area a good market to get, let's say, tourism?
Well, the promotion in fact is done by the tourism office of Paris. The city of Paris is implemented to integrate the tourism focus in these public policies. So in 2016, the city of Paris adopted, after all this crisis, its first tourism strategy going to 2022, in order also to promote the applying for Olympic Games. We are promoting the Mediterranean market, where an important market, but for now, the Congress Bureau is doing event also for all this market, but now it's a market that is very low. For now, it has not come back so much since the COVID crisis.
Mr. Astori, can you give us an overview of the market of Milan and Italy, and what we are missing in infrastructure, thinking that soon will be Olympic Games in Milano and Cortina?
So, Milan and Paris are quite similar. They have a very historical, close connection. Napoleon was king of Italy and was emperor of France, and we still have also the Arch of Triumph in Milan as in Paris. And strangely enough, this year we're both planning for an Olympic Games. Paris will be 2024, Milan is going to be 2026. So we are in a similar situation. Milan is improving its infrastructures, and we're building a new underground network, the M4, so it's going to be ready hopefully next year, which is going to change a lot. It's going to be a big connection between the city center and the airport of Linate. But unlike Paris, the plans for developing the infrastructure to connect Milan to the other parts of Europe are not really clear. We've been listening to talks about a new train connection to Valtellina, which is going to be the main skiing area for Lombardy, and a new train connection between the airport of Oio al Serio, which is the third airport of Milan, by number of passengers, actually the first one that overtook Malpensa during COVID.
And will be the most important?
It will be the most important for it's a low-cost airport. And the plans are there, but we still have to see how they're going to be developed, because the information from the government and from the municipality of Milan is not really clear. So infrastructure-wise, the city, it's getting better. Some plans are there. Like Paris, we're building new bike tracks for bicycling around the city, which they need to be implemented also for the traffic. If you travel around Milan by car now, it's quite a nightmare, because they implemented the biking lanes, but they haven't implemented the parkings. So that's going to be the next step for the municipality of Milan that they have to undertake in order to make Milan an attraction infrastructure-wise. But unlike Paris, Milan is very different. Milan is not a city like Paris that we have the Golden Triangle. Milan is a big hub to see other parts of Italy. Milan is the main destination for people who want to go to Como, and that's a very important area. And people traveling from the United States, which are very important customers. They used to be, and they're going to become again. If you exclude the 2020, even 2021, the Americans are coming back. Even before they were allowed to come to Europe, we were having American customers. We don't know how they came there, how they could come, but they arrived. So as an important hub, Milan depends on infrastructures, not only in the city of Milan, and not only around Milan, but also in the destination that the tourists coming to Milan want to see. I give you an example, which is going to be quite easy to understand. Milan is between Switzerland, so the Swiss economy and the Swiss attraction, and the Italian seaside, so the main attraction of the Italian seaside. And as a tour company, we have people coming, they want to go to Switzerland, and they want to go to the Italian seaside. And if I deal with the Swiss, the red train of Bernina is a very popular destination, and I have a very nice talk to them, and if I need 50, 100, 150 seats on the train, I make a call, and they put a new car, and the infrastructure is there. It's been there for 100 years, and it's a very important touristic infrastructure. So the Bernina red train is an infrastructure made for tourists, and it's
an attraction.
It's an attraction. It's an infrastructure that became an attraction, and the Swiss people understood it, and they understood it not yesterday, 100 years ago. And then we have no problem. We can bring them as many people as we want, and it's not that we're going to be over-tourism them, because they are prepared. They have an infrastructure created to welcome as many people as it's possible. Samoritz is not a huge city, but it's created to host hundreds of thousands of tourists during the years. And then you go to Cinque Terre. You go to the Parco Nazionale of Cinque Terre, which is the most important attraction in the north of Italy, if you exclude Venice, so in the Tyrrhenian Sea, is the most important attractions. What you have there? You have a train, and if you want to go to the train station, you're not allowed to get there by bus, because the city of La Spezia doesn't allow buses to go there. So how you do that? You have to travel on the coast and get to Manarola, the parking of Manarola, which you have to pay, and they're there. You have to walk down to Cinque Terre. You have 50 people getting off the bus, walking down for about 500 meters before they get to the main attraction. And the limitation of that kind of service is huge, because sometimes the parking is too full by people. Sometimes the infrastructure to bring people around, it's full. Have you ever taken a train in Cinque Terre? The line was built like the Swiss line in the 1910s, probably, and it's still like that. The connection is created to connect La Spezia to Genova, while the majority of people who use that piece of track, they just want to go to Cinque Terre. They haven't done any major infrastructure in the last 50 years. A piece of the Lover's Path, the connecting Rio Maggiore to, no Manarola, the other one, to Vernazza, collapsed in 2015. It's still collapsed. You cannot walk to Manarola. You cannot. It's been 6 years. Nobody took care of the infrastructures. This train station have been built in the 20s. They haven't been touched. And they talk about over-tourism, because the cities cannot allow as many tourists to go there. If you want to have a quality tourism, you don't have to give them 1900s infrastructures. You have to give them quality infrastructures. And that's the big gap that we are facing as a tourist company in Milan, because our people want to see Milan, but they also want to see what the north of Italy can offer. If we have not the infrastructures to allow people to travel to the best Italian parts, they have to go somewhere else. They're still going to come to Milan, because Milan is a huge hub. We have the right infrastructure, we have the right allure. Of course, Paris, we cannot even compare to Paris. We don't have the phenomenon of over-tourism. We don't need to bring people outside Milan. They already know what's outside Milan. They know there's north of Italy there. There's Venice. People come into Milan because it's easier to travel to Milan than to Venice. They take the train. There's a high-speed connection between Milan and Venice. It's so easy to get there, 2 hours. Then you arrive in Venice. And you're stuck there because the city didn't develop infrastructures to run millions of people. What they do, they want to limit tourism, thinking that is going to be best for the city. They don't spend a dime. They collect the money from tourists. They collect the money from the tourist company, from restaurants, from hotels. But that money doesn't go on infrastructures to allow not more people, but more motivated, more enthusiastic, with more quality, be able to spend, not because they like to spend more money, but because if you have a better experience, you want to go back. You want to advertise where you've been. Loyalty. And people love Milan. A lot of people come again to Milan because you have a city which is Italy but is not Italy. You have the skyscrapers, you have underground, which is compared to any Italian city is something like, it's a novelty. You go to Rome and they have underground, yes, on paper. And then you have like 2 stations not working, 4 stations not working, then you have the water in the stations, and then they build new ones and they find Roman ruins and they stuck there for 1,000 years and they don't continue working there. So building infrastructure is about a system, and we cannot say we need more infrastructure in Milan. We do, but we also depend on infrastructures in other parts of the country. And that's a big challenge and a big problem.
Let's say that we miss a vision of the system of infrastructure to develop in the best way the tourism in Italy, you want to say?
Because the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Infrastructures are 2 different bodies. They don't talk to each other. They don't understand that if you build a new train station, it's something you do not only for the people living there, but also for the tourists coming there. And Cinque Terre, it's the most excruciating example, because every year we bring less and less tourists there because they say there are too many. And if you go there, they don't charge you any extra. You can go there and you spend the same money and you have people backpacking there. Nothing against backpackers. But if you are a backpacker and you put a tent in the middle of an Italian city, it's not like quality. There are places for backpackers. You can go around hiking, but you cannot put a tent in Vernazza and thinking that's normal. It's about the quality of the people you bring.
Mr. Astori, before we were I asked tourism
Used to the situation, and we because putting 50 people on a bus with 50 people, it's an experience. If you have 40, you have more room. You don't have to sit to the person you don't know. And even before we used to do that. So we didn't change a lot. We focus more on telling people what they should do, that they have to wear a mask. Sometimes we have situations which are normal with people, especially with people who don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on, but like you sit next to a stranger, and we have to convince them it's normal, it's going to happen again. Like you go to a bar and you sit next to a stranger. He's wearing a mask. It's not like in a bar and he takes off the mask because you have to eat. You need to use your mouth, and you cannot wear a mask when you eat. On the bus, everybody wears a mask, so you don't have to be scared by the people next to you. You have to understand that they're following the same regulations. So the Green Pass was a good thing. I really appreciate that. If you're getting on a bus, you know that everybody, 90% of the time, like 99% of the time, is not bringing anything with them, like no diseases, not COVID, nothing, because they've been checked. And we reacted in the only way we could, like telling them coming to Milan is safe. Italy is a very safe country, like France, because we did the right things when we had to. And everybody took the responsibility and took the steps to make it better. Of course, we lost a lot of nationalities, like Chinese are not coming anymore. They used to be, especially for some of our services, a huge part of the market. And some people are coming, even if we don't know how, like we have Russians, and they're not supposed to be here, but they love to come to the city. So, like, it's love. To me, it's love. Like, you cannot leave your country and you go to Milan because you like the things you can do there. And it basically, you love the city. It's like you do everything you can to get to the city. So that's something that brings you there. I think Paris has the same situation, like people that you don't expect, like going there. And for me, it's quite an emotion, like seeing people coming from countries that we didn't even register before. We had nationalities that we didn't consider before showing up, like Romanians. It's a new nationality that we never considered before. Now we know that we have thousands of Romanians coming on our services, and it's new, and it's a good way to see the future. Like, even if we're missing something from the old customers, we see new customers that coming to Milan as new people and see new things in Milan.
Zani Viaggi is one of the most important tour operators in Italy, and you have a long story in our country. Which is the next step of Zani Viaggi?
Okay. We still gonna be in Italy. Like the new for 2021 that we open a cruise company on the Navigli, and it's gonna be a next challenge. We bought 2 boats. We're gonna be 7 boats. So the next step is gonna be starting on the water. And if the port of Genova is going to develop, I think we're gonna be there as well. So slowly in the north of Italy, and then let's see. Like going outside is gonna be difficult, especially now. But you never know. It's all about the people you meet, and we have the expertise. And if we meet the right people, why not? We can start. I mean, we're not afraid to leave the country.
Thank you, Mr. Astori. Thank you, Delphine Assouline. I think that we have now a better overview of the market and how it's developing, the reaction that Milan and Paris, but also Italy and France, are giving to the coronavirus, and how the market is changing and the nation are changing. So this is an opportunity also for the Mediterranean area to find a new way of business. So thank you for everybody, and we go to the next panel. Thanks.